Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is For Pause in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Today it's Tag Tuesday. So I am reviving Tag Tuesday for the month of August. Might not stick around after that, but it's definitely sticking around for August. And I have a few exciting new tags for you planned for this month. So the first one we're going to be doing is the Bookish preference tag. The channel that I saw this one on was Murphy Napier, and I will link her video down below. I can't remember if she created it, but that was the one that I saw. So I'm going to link that one. If I find the creator, I will link that one as well. So this is mostly just talking about how you like to digest books, what format you like them in, certain things like that. It's not necessarily specific books that we're going to be talking about. The first one is which perspective is your favorite? So first person, second person, or third person. And I generally, I will read anything. Second person is one of the most interesting books or perspectives, just because you don't see it very often. So when it's done well, I really, really enjoy it. And then first person would probably be my least favorite. I guess by default that would make third person my favorite. However, I don't necessarily like third person omniscient? Did I say that word? I can't speak English today. Which is basically where the narrator knows all. I like to find out about, the plot, what things are going on, the world building, whatever, along with the character. If you have this omniscient, overlording narrator, it tends to get info dumpy very easily. So that's not necessarily one of my favorite things. So third person, what is it called? Near or close? I don't know what the exact terminology is, but that would probably be my favorite, with second person coming in with a very close behind if it's done well. All right, and the next question is, what format is your favorite? So hardback, paperback, audiobook, ebook. I have to say that audiobook is probably my favorite, simply because I can do it while doing other things, and so I'm able to kind of multitask. I can pay attention. It breaks up really long drives, which is really nice. I do tend to travel quite a bit with work, not nearly as much as I used to with my old job, but I do still have those occasional 4 to 5 hour road trips. So having an audiobook like that is super helpful. Also helps, just doing things around the house, chores, dishes, stuff like that. I can listen to an audiobook. After that, my next favorite would definitely be paperback, specifically really nice and floppy paperbacks. I love floppy paperbacks. They just make me happy. Of the physical reading, the reading with my eyeballs, floppy paperbacks. The next question is, do you prefer a character-focused book or a plot-focused book? I think this is a hard one, because a plot-focused book can overlook a lot of errors in a book, especially for something like a debut novel, because you can have pacing errors and the book still be good. However, with a character-focused book, you have to be spot on, because if you don't care about the characters, there is no point in reading the book, because there's not really a plot. Frederick Bachman is a really good example of a character-focused book where the author did a really good job focusing on the character. Same with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That is a character-focused book, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. Arguably my favorite book of all time, but it's more character-focused than plot-focused. So I think that there's a very fine line that you have to walk there, and if it's done well, a character-focused book is definitely my favorite. However, a character-focused book that's not written well, or a character-focused book where I don't care about the characters, immediately drops to a very low-rated book, because there was no point in me reading said book if I don't care about the main point of the book. I feel like a lot of these questions are just going to be me saying, well, it depends on the book, which I know is not the point of this tag, but I apologize for that. The next question is, do you care about prose? So the type of writing, the style of writing, the quotes. Yes, I do. I 100% do. I love quotable books. Any book that I have annotated has always been a very quotable book. Those little yellow tabs are definitely like those little stick out moments. I don't think a book needs to be overly lyrical in order for the prose to be strong. I think that you can be direct in what you say, but like have the strength and the confidence in your words, and I think the prose will still be strong. So yes, I do care about prose. I love me some good quotes. The next question is, how introspective do you want your characters to be? I don't like introspection, so like little to none. You can have like maybe 1 or 2 inner monologues amongst the entire book, but if you get stuck in your head too long, I'm gonna want to punch you in the face. Which is probably why I don't love first-person narration quite as much as I do third-person, because you do tend to get stuck in a character's head, and you're very annoying when you're in your own head. So those introspection moments, like no thank you. The next question is, how do you like your relationships? Happy? Healthy? Not toxic? I mean, those seem like common sense, but like toxic romance? No thank you. End of story. I don't like that. Some of my favorite tropes are friends to lovers, fake dating. So those are like, if you think about romantic relationships, that's some buzzwords. But also like platonic relationships. I absolutely love a found family trope. It's just beautiful, and it's definitely something that I look for in books. I also really like the like Yoda mentor type relationships. Obviously not in a romantic sense. Obviously Yoda didn't have, you know what I'm saying. I don't want to see a mentor-mentee romance, but the old grumpy mentor and the young thriving like gung-ho hero, that's a great relationship. The next question is, do you like a lot of description? So world building, magic system, stuff like that. Yes and no. I like finding out about the world. I hate white room syndrome type books where you have no idea where a character actually is or what it looks like. But I also hate info dumping. If you remember my review about The Rise of the Red Hand, that was one of my like pet peeves with it, and it was just the fact that it was so info dumpy, it felt like a textbook. And a lot of that comes from the fact that they were just trying to like tell you about the world rather than the character finding out about it as we went along, because the character already knew about the world. That was frustrating. I think there were better ways that could have been done. But I do like description. I like to know how the magic system works. I like to know what the world looks like, especially in a fantasy or a sci-fi, or definitely a dystopian. Like I am a sucker for a good world building in a dystopian novel. The next question is, do you prefer standalones or a series? I think it's easier to read standalones, because then you don't feel like you are so far behind on some of your series. There's definitely some series that like I am not caught up with and will never be caught up with, and it's just a fact I have to live with. So standalones like make you feel more accomplished, but I do like series, because then as you get into second and third and even fourth books, you already know the characters, and so that's not something that you have to go back in and learn every single book you're reading. You just kind of get to be more immersed into the book and the story. All right, the next question is a single POV or multiple POV, and again, it depends on the book. I think single POV can get really annoying, especially if it's first person, because you're stuck with one character the entire time. And so you're not seeing different aspects of the world. So especially with fantasy, sci-fi books like that, you don't get to see or experience as much of the world as you could. Same thing with romance. I love dual POV romances where you're getting the story from both sides of the relationship. It makes the third act conflict that much stronger, and that much more, sometimes more infuriating, because you're like, no, she doesn't want that, she wants this, and he wants this, and it's kind of infuriating, but also lovely at the same time. So I would say probably dual POV would be my like absolute favorite. 2 to 3 characters. When we start getting into like 6+ characters, that tends to start getting lost. We lose characters in that. Aurora Rising is a phenomenal example of that. The first time I read that, we started talking about a character in the live show for it, and I didn't even remember that character existed because there were 7 POVs and we got lost. So yes and no. There is the potential to have too many points of view. The last question is, do you prefer a strong start, a strong middle, or a strong finish? This, again, is dependent on the book that I'm reading, but not necessarily like the specific book, but specifically the genre. So for a romance book, I've talked about this before, but I have to have a strong third act conflict. If the third act conflict is weak or seems forced, just, for the sake of them fighting, then it ruins the entire book for me. So you could have a mediocre start, maybe a sagging middle, but if that ending is good, it's going to make the book better. If that ending is bad, even a absolutely fantastic start and middle is going to make, if the end is bad, it's going to make the whole book just kind of meh. On the flip side of that, if the book doesn't start out strong in a fantasy or a sci-fi, I can't get into it, especially if the book is very heavily plot driven and not character driven. If I'm lost in the middle of it, or if it's info dumpy, anything like that, the rest of the book while I'm reading it, I'm going to check out. So it's not something that I'm invested in. So if it doesn't start well, then it doesn't matter how it ends, honestly. So it just depends on the genre. All right, guys, that is the bookish preference tag. Let me know down in the comments below which format of book that you prefer the most. So paperback, hardback, audio, ebook, whatever it is, let me know it down below. And if you're not feeling chatty, go ahead and drop some hearts down in the comments, and I will talk to you there. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the other links to my social media will be in the description below if you'd like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.